And if we're coming back to the more maybe practical things for parents again, so let's imagine somebody is looking for school, or some parents, they want probably to change the school. What kind of questions should they ask themselves and the school authority to make a right choice?
I think as a parent, we should all ask ourselves, what is the ultimate objective of being a parent? What's the ultimate goal? And in my experience in working with families over the years, it's the goal of a good parent is to stop being a parent. And the same is true of a teacher, I think, as well. To rephrase that, that means that the child becomes their own authority figure and learns to make responsible decisions on their own. So what you as a parent might want to ask yourself is, what kind of person do I want my child to be? What are these skills and characteristics in their personality that need to be developed? And do schools develop that or not? And I would say that most schools, most traditional schools, spend almost no time looking at the child as a human being. They don't measure or value confidence or self-esteem in any way. They don't feed the child's curiosity. If anything, as we said before, they do the opposite. They don't look very much at the social skills and social development. What happens in the playground stays in the playground, so to speak. The children just learn to conform, and they learn the value of conformity and obedience, but not the opposite, which is independent thinking, which is collaboration, critical thinking, and so forth. So if you want your child to be a person ready for a world that is full of surprises, as we all know, very unpredictable, you want your child to be someone who cares, who knows how to listen, who knows how to assert themselves, who knows how to look at a problem from as many different sides as possible, who has a sense of purpose, then you need to ask what kind of education matches that, or is attempting to match it. Another thing we keep in mind, there's no such thing as the perfect school, the perfect educational system. It's something that needs to be challenged and evolved, just as we don't have the perfect government in any way. You know, as humans, we're still evolving, and we have a long way to go. So if you start asking those questions of yourself, and those are your ambitions for your child, then when you start to have that dialogue with any prospective school, you'll get a feel if they really understand those values, and you can see if they apply them or not, and make up your own mind.
And how do you, because what I heard from many parents, that when they start to ask questions, many school authorities say, yeah, we value self-esteem, we value collaboration, we value this and that. But in reality, it's not always the case.
Right.
So how the parent can actually make sure that these declared values, which might be completely fine and good and resonating with them, actually are met by school. What would you suggest parents to have a look at? And
that's a good question. First, they could ask for specific examples. Could you tell me how in practice then you work on a child, or you help a child build their confidence? Secondly, you can look for the, to build confidence, a child has to feel in control. And that they are able to make their own mistakes, learn from the mistakes, and grow. This, to me, is one of the prime definitions of how confidence is built. To do that, the child has to be an active participant in the educational process. So, for example, an important component was to what degree are children able to self-evaluate? To what degree can they define the criteria for self-evaluation so they can measure their own progress? To what degree can children manage or co-manage the content of of the learning objectives. If I'm going to learn about history, who gets to decide what history, when, where, and how I'm going to learn about history? There should even be the room for that dialogue about why history might be important or not. So the schools that care to invite the children into these decision making, across the board, I would say, and the older they get, the more entitled they would need to feel. These are the schools that would value the child. And once the child feels valued, and they feel like they're a partner in the process, the school is there, often finds itself outside its own comfort zone. And that's the challenge to the school, and even to the parents, not always knowing where this is going to lead. But trusting that the child, the student, is able to go out on a limb, go out beyond the horizon of what we know or don't know about the educational process, and come back more enriched and more courageous for that. Because the opposite is that we stay inside our boxes, our security, as we were discussing earlier, our comfort zones, and with a very standardized view of what is important to learn and how to learn it. And what we see is what we get. And if you as a parent look at the world today and you feel that you are satisfied with the world that you see around you, then don't question the educational process. Well, let me clarify something, because it can sound like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm going to sit with my child, or my child's going to decide what they're going to learn and when and where and how. It's not necessarily as radical as all that, because you still have to learn. It's like becoming a good musician. You still have to learn the basics. You still have to learn the writing and the reading and the mathematics involved. So we do follow, at the Lighthouse and most alternative schools, do have a curriculum that's aligned with traditional schools. So it's not a case of what you teach, but how you teach it. And then as the tree grows, you get to then choose what branches you're going to follow more. So it starts off more, shall we say, mainstream, but it quickly can evolve into something else.